Welcome to the Strong Life Coach podcast, where we speak life, coach life, write life, and lead life. Today, I'm joined in the podcast studio by Claudia Galan. Claudia, welcome to the podcast show.
Thank you, Derek, for having me today. I'm so excited to be here.
All right, I'm pumped up about our conversation. If you are listening in and you don't know who Claudia is, let me tell you a little bit about her. Claudia Galan is a San Antonio and McAllen-based attorney and owner of Galan Law Firm. She specializes in immigration and family law. Her areas of focus are family-based permanent residency and citizenship petitions, deportation defense, divorce, custody and termination of parental rights, and adoption. She also works with victims of crime, whether in immigration or family law cases. Claudia's own experience as an undocumented immigrant and work with asylum seekers at the border led her to her interest in immigration law. As a native Spanish speaker, she is committed to serving the immigrant and Spanish-speaking communities of South Texas. Claudia is a graduate of St. Mary's School of Law and the University of Texas, Rio Grande Valley. In her spare time, Claudia enjoys spending time with family and friends, doing yoga, and going on walks with her dog, Frida. All right,
Yes.
Claudia, let's jump right in. What inspired you to become an attorney?
Ever since I was little, and I know this is so cliche, for many other attorneys, but I don't know at what point I decided to be a lawyer, but ever since I was little, I knew I wanted to defend people. I remember being in middle school in the classroom in Mexico, because I grew up in Mexico. My classmates getting in trouble because they were late with their homework or the uniform or something. I will step in and just tell the teachers, come on, just chill. Let it pass this time. And then I will get in trouble for doing that. As a matter of fact, my classmates used to call me La Abogada, the attorney, right? And so I had that nickname ever since. And I always had that passion to help on my neighbors, my parents, my family, my classmates. My mom will always tell me, just keep your mouth shut. Please don't say anything. If anybody else is getting in trouble, let them just deal with it, right? But no, I just couldn't. Like I felt that I could help them. I felt that, sometimes the punishment was probably unfair. And most of the times I will get in trouble for that as well.
Mm-hmm.
So I will say that since I was little, I knew I wanted to be a lawyer. I didn't know how to get there. Growing up in Mexico, obviously the opportunities are very different. So to me, it seemed like a dream that I don't even know if it was even possible. Later on, I came over here to the United States after high school, and the opportunity, was there. I would like to say that I worked to open those doors, and so here I am as an attorney now.
Wow, I love hearing it. When I hear your classmates, the story you told there about them calling you La Abogada, which of course for our non-Spanish speaking people, that means the attorney.
Yeah,
And when I hear that concept, I'm just so fascinated at the concept of identity and what that did for your psyche, right? Like to be being called that over and over again, and they talk about this idea of like a self-fulfilling prophecy, or this prophecy they were giving you over and over again as your passion was displayed in defending people, even people where again you were even getting in trouble. Again, it's fascinating to hear that.
absolutely. Yes. I think that was kind of stuck in my mind, and I said, this is it. This is what I want to do. And I've enjoyed it. I've always had this big passion to help people in whatever area they need it, even if it wasn't in the legal field. But now that I can do it in the legal field and I can actually change someone's lives, it's amazing. It's very rewarding for me. And I do not regret my decision to become an attorney.
I love it. I love the no regret lifestyle. Let's talk about that. You talked about how the satisfaction in changing somebody's life, and maybe that's it. But tell me a little bit more. What do you enjoy most about being an attorney?
Like I mentioned before, one of the things that I love is helping people. doing immigration, if I can help somebody get a work permit, that can change their life tremendously. Imagine they can get a legal ID from the government, they can get a social security number, they can get an ID, a driver's license, and kind of sort of live like they are in the United States with some legal status, and that gives them so much opportunities. People smile so big when I tell them and call them with the news, we got your work permit, we got your green card, your application was approved. It's amazing. So I love that I can keep families together. That's another thing for me. When I immigrated to the United States, I was separated from my family for a few years, so I can understand and relate to my clients the challenge and the hardships that they're going through, and their emotional distress of being separated from their children. So when I can get somebody out from the tension, when I can give reunite families, keep families together. It's just amazing for me. I love doing that.
Wow. I think we have a hero with us in our presence, everybody. I think what I hear from you is you're a dealer of hope, right? You give what I heard when you were talking about like helping a person to be able to find employment. I think about you're giving them hope as a provider. When I hear about you uniting families, I think about that hope and that harmony, because um, anybody who's ever been separated I mean, it could have been. I remember when I was in third grade and getting lost at the kids fair, at the Alamo Dome. Like, that was just for a day. But you're talking about bringing families together that have been separated, not just for a day, weeks, months, years, whatever that is. And anyway, so I'm just hearing you're somebody who deals out hope in your practice as an attorney, which is flat out inspiring.
Absolutely. I guess you can call it that. I actually never seen it this way. So thank you for that perspective. Definitely giving them the tools to make a life, be prosperous, be successful here in this country. It's obviously giving them hope for a better future of, reaching that American dream, what they're here for, what we all want.
Mm-hmm.
And I love helping them to reach that dream.
Yes, yes, yes. And then talk about I mean, what's beautiful about it is you are very much, hey, I was you, and hey, I am here living in the dream that I'm offering to people. So tell me a little bit about your journey. Even in your biography, you speak to it, of your experience as an undocumented immigrant. What was that like, and what does it mean to you to be where you are now?
It was, it was at the beginning. Okay, so I was 18 years old when I moved to the United States. And at the beginning, for the first 2, 3 years, I didn't have status. I was here as an overstay. I had a visa. A lot of people come over here that are in my situation. They come in with the visa, tourist visa, and just end up staying. And so that was my situation. I had gone back to high school because I needed to learn English, right? Even though I had already finished high school in Mexico. And I remember my dad telling me, having this serious talk with me, and we sat down and he told me, look, you don't have a legal status here. You cannot get in trouble. If you get in trouble, you can get deported, or, things can be bad for you. So I remember just having that fear of like, okay, I'm just gonna, do what I need to do, obviously not get in trouble, uh, and, just mind my own business. So I wasn't able to work at the beginning. I wasn't able to drive, even though I was 18, 19, 21 years old, until later on, when eventually I was able to obtain legal permanent residence status through my dad, through a family petition. Now,
Mm.
that might not seem the same situation that some of my clients are going through, where they're experiencing, being in detention, or they have already gotten deported in the past and there is no solution for their case. In my situation, I had a solution, and that is great, right? But that experience definitely has helped me relate to my clients, and I have told them, I've been there, I've been where you're at right now. I've been there. I went to school. It's possible. You can get there. So most of the times when I'm talking to my clients, I'm encouraging them, making them feel, I'm going to take care of you. This is going to be okay. And sometimes it might not be okay, or it doesn't turn out what I expected, but the fact that they know that and they have told me that I'm a very sensitive attorney. They've talked to so many attorneys before and they feel comfortable with me and in me handling their case. And that just obviously gives me more energy. And now I'm like, okay, I really need to, I want to work hard for this person. I'm going to get what they came here, to ask me for, to hire me for. So the fact that I can relate to them and understand what they're going through definitely gives me like a different perspective to handle these cases in more of a compassionate way and understanding way. And my clients love that. And we have a great relationship.
Yes. I want to highlight what you said about compassion and empathy. And when I think about your story, where sometimes we could look, anybody, any of us, myself included, we can look back at our own story and think, well, my story holds me back, as opposed to seeing it as my story launches me forward and even ahead. So your story, not saying, oh, well, look what I've been through, woe is me from what I've been through, the challenges, the obstacles, the problems, as opposed to, hey, well, your story gives you extra empathy. Your story gives you extra compassion. So I do want to speak to the listeners for a moment. Again, we don't know the details and the nuances of your story, but there is something about using what you've been through, good, bad, ugly, beautiful, whatever it is, using what you've been through to help you. Even the horrible experiences actually can find a way to give you a tactical advantage if you learn how to tap into it, as Claudia is describing. So I just think that's powerful. Thank you for sharing that, Claudia.
Thank you. And I absolutely agree with you. Another of the reasons why I decided to go into immigration and family law was during college, I was involved with RGV, Rio Grande Valley Community Dreamers. I was back in 2013. And that's how I got my first experience, in the immigration field. So I helped, Dreamers apply for DACA. We did, protests on the street, protests outside the congressman's office. So I was very into that. And I started to learn all of the injustices of the system, how the policies are drafted to a point where it didn't seem fair. So going into law school, I had already experienced that. And I knew that I wanted to do immigration. I did work for other attorneys doing civil, cases, personal injury, criminal, and other things, but I always kept coming back to the same thing, immigration, and family law. There's such a close intersection between both fields because, sometimes I have clients that are going through a divorce and I'm handling their immigration case, and I'm like, okay, let's wait. We need to look at your family law case, your divorce. How is that going to affect you? And at times I just started handling both cases, and that's how I'm also doing family law. I would say the majority of my cases are immigration and family.
Mm-hmm. I love that, how you're tapping into a passion that was started. You said that the RGV Dreamers?
Community Dreamers,
Community
yes.
Dreamers. I like it. We think about some of those organizations or groups that are a part of the college experience, and how, again, it can give you that, it can light, it can ignite a fire that's carrying you. Really, it has you in your calling in this area you're so passionate about. I love that. I also love hearing about how you realized, as you were helping in one area, this other area became obvious that you could provide a lot of support to as well. Naturally, any business owner, might start out with one focus, and they're seeing, well, look, they can easily fulfill this other need as well to the community, and it creates a win-win because you're providing a valuable service to your clients, and then they're incredibly grateful to you for being able to serve not just their immigration situations and problems, but also their situation with their family.
Absolutely, yes.
What has been one challenge as an attorney that you have overcome?
I would say being in a competitive market, it's definitely a big challenge for attorneys. There's so many attorneys nowadays, so many immigration attorneys, especially in South Texas where I'm located. And going into opening my own firm right after law school, it's not like I have clients that, that I've worked with in the past coming over with me, right? Or people were already knew my name and were referring me. No, I literally started from zero. But I knew I was gonna get there. I knew, at one point, if I do a good job, if I'm a competent attorney and I get my clients to like me, they're gonna refer me more business. So I will say that I was blessed in a sense that a few months right after I opened my firm, I got hired with this big case. It was a U.S. citizen that was wrongfully detained and with ICE for close to a month. And it took a while for me to get him out. ICE wasn't listening to me, right? And so that case made national news. And after that, people just knew my name from everywhere in the country. And so I was getting calls from everywhere in the country. People wanted me to take their case, help them get out of detention. So that was one of the things that I was able to overcome early on in my legal career as a new solo practitioner. And I think I was just blessed with that. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. I love it. I love what you said there about taking care of one at a time. And again, a lot of us, that's where we started. We started with zero. I mean, my coaching and speaking practice is very much that. Like, anybody and everybody, anybody who wants some help, but I love the idea of taking care and the excellence you showed on that one case. I'm not sure if you knew in the beginning of that case, hey, this will be national coverage, media across the country, and people from not just Rio Grande Valley, not just San Antonio, not even just Texas, but people across the nation would be exposed to you, your passion, your message during that moment.
Yes, I mean, I did not think it was gonna get that crazy. And I'll actually say that I even got phone calls from Spain and some other South American country from newspapers or magazines wanting to talk to me about the case. At one point, I just wanted to hide behind my desk and be like, I'm not here, people. Let me work on my cases. No, it was great. I had fun talking to the media, and definitely, I think that my client's case, the fact that it was exposed tremendously, it got so much national attention that several policies within detention were changed as a result of that case. So I'm really grateful that I was able to help a little bit to change, some policy that will benefit immigrants that are in detention. So that was amazing.
Wow.
And not
The concept that came to me was, trailblazer, right? Like, so blazing a trail so that people that come up next, again, whether that's immigrants, again, practitioners of law, other attorneys, you're helping to make this difference that's influencing. I mean, I'm hearing legacy. I think something that will likely outlive you with the impact you're making. It's just a beautiful thing to hear.
That will be amazing. Thank you.
Now, apart from what you just said, what has been the best way for you to market your law firm?
Right now, I'm not big on marketing, which I should actually. As a new business owner, I'm trying to find out how to handle my accounts, how to handle my staff, how to handle every little thing on top of handling my cases, right? So marketing has one of the things that, okay, I'm just gonna, the last thing on my list, because, people still call me every day and tell me, or so-and-so and refer me to you. And I always ask them, can I ask, how do you find my contact information? And they tell me. I had one client one time that came to me in McAllen, and she told me, oh, you're the neighborhood attorney. And I'm like, I'm sorry? She was like, yes, this person and this person, they're my neighbors and they're your clients. I'm like, okay, yeah. And yes, they were my clients. I couldn't tell her, yes, they're my clients, right? confidentiality information. But I think that right now, the best way to market my work and my services have been word of mouth. I've also been blessed with building relationships and maintaining those relationships with other colleagues in the Valley and also in San Antonio. And they refer me clients if they have, especially criminal defense attorneys. I get calls from attorneys in San Antonio, in the Valley, and, asking for help and referrals from them as well. So that has helped me a lot.
Wow. I think there's a couple of points there I think that are super relevant when we think about word of mouth. You captured that as well. But what I focus on is what you described about other attorneys and relationships, and over again, right? As you know, there's an expertise in what you know, and there's an expertise in who you know. So it's both. Some people go, oh, it's not what, it's who. No, it's both. It's your technical knowledge and expertise, but it's also who you know. And even people, another law firm, some people might, in error, look at that law firm as a competitor or an enemy. But what I'm hearing from you, there's just great value in seeing other law firms not as competitors, but as collaborators. And I see that in my world as well. Big speaking event next week came from another speaker and another coach. And from one angle, you might go, oh, well, y'all are competitors going for the same things. But even that endorsement and recommendation, it came from somebody else. From one perspective, somebody might look at like a competitor, but how your competition could be great people to have a collaboration with.
Absolutely. And I actually don't believe in competition. I'm my own competition myself. I have to be better every day. So my competition is not the attorney next door. There is literally another immigration attorney in the same building here. She's not my competition. I am my own competition. The service that I'm providing to my clients, the customer service, to all of that, that's how I am competing. And that's how you become a better person every single day.
Mm-hmm. I love it. I love that. I grew up all about competition. I learned way later in life about the concept of not even believing it, but I know I'm with you 100%. I've taken the scoreboard down. I'm not comparing my score to your score to my score. I'm just seeking, like what you said. I'm just striving to grow. Let's speak to the podcast listeners for a moment. If you're listening in, you always see somebody as competition, you're probably going to be dealing with a lot of jealousy, a lot of insecurity if you're losing the competition. But the other thing is, if you're winning, you'll probably deal with a lot of arrogance if you're winning the competition. So sometimes the best thing to do for you to take that scoreboard down and not focus on if I'm winning or losing, but more so instead of the versus, it's me versus them and them versus me, but it's me with them. It's them with me. To Claudia's point, I love it. She said, I don't believe in competition.
Yes.
Now, what advice would you offer someone just starting their law firm?
This is my favorite question because I wish, I had somebody to give me advice prior to opening my firm. I did have a support system, which I knew going into business, opening, my own firm, that I will be okay. My biggest advice will be get a mentor, number one. If you're right out of law school, a baby attorney, a new attorney with a very few years of experience or 0 years of experience, you want to have other attorneys that are helping you out, giving you advice. They're probably not going to hold your hand and tell you exactly, step by step, but they're always there to ask you to answer those legal questions or procedural things that you don't know. Oh, do I need to file this motion, or what comes after this other motion? Law school doesn't teach you how to be an attorney. Law school doesn't teach you how to be a business owner either. They teach you the law, how to research the law, how to understand it, how to make those arguments, but they don't teach you those things. And all of that, I've learned throughout a year and a half that I've been in business now as an attorney. Another advice will be have a support system. And not just attorneys, but family. I think that sometimes being in business and also trying to be an attorney at the same time can be very, very stressful. And you're talking about people's lives, people's cases. This is serious work. And so sometimes just having somebody that you can go to and just, vent or talk or maybe ask for help as well. That's very, very, very important.
Hmm. Yes, both phenomenal pieces of advice. I, to me, I insist on every single client that I coach, every business owner, that you have a mentor, especially in your field of practice. My role as a coach isn't to be the expert in every single industry that I coach, but it is to empower and elevate my clients in that same way to find the experts in your industry you can learn from. I love I think it's a Chinese proverb that says to know the way on the path ahead, ask somebody recently on the path coming back. So it's what you're saying. When you start a law firm or when you're going as an attorney, find somebody who has more experience. They could tell you, they give you the tips and the tricks about the path ahead, so that you can maximize that insight, and so you don't have to make the same mistakes as they did or mistakes that somebody else made, and you can really even learn from their success.
Absolutely. Yes.
The other thing I love as well, you said it's the support system. I think that's invaluable. It helps us with our stress. It helps us with our clarity. It helps us, when we have those bad days, when we're feeling like, hey, like almost everybody has those moments of, hey, why am I doing what I'm doing? Like those days of despair, of doubts, worried, fears come in, insecurities. But having that support system to help you on your good days, of course, to rejoice, to celebrate the victories, but also to be with you on the bad days. And they help you to carry on and continue to move forward.
Yes. I think that having close relationships, with your family or friends, and even sometimes most of my friends are attorneys, so we understand each other very well, and we just know what we're going through. And so if I'm there with my friend crying, this is happening, or I'm stressed out, she knows what to tell me so I can calm down. And that's great, especially now with this pandemic that's going on. We're not having very, that much of a close contact with people. It's been even more difficult too.
Mm.
So the biggest advice will be get a mentor, have people that you can trust and come with, just to vent or talk. And also I will add, have a business plan. I started my firm and I didn't have a business plan, and I was just like, okay, I'll be okay. But I think that's very important, knowing, what are your expenses gonna be, how many cases you're gonna need to bring in. So definitely have a business plan as well.
Yes. Support system, mentor, business plan. I think she's advertising for me right now for business coaching. No,
Absolutely.
thank you for that insight there, Claudia. Now, let me ask you, what has helped you establish work-life balance as an attorney?
That has been something that I'm still working on, to be honest. Being a new attorney and a new business owner, I spend so many hours here at the office, every day on the weekends as well. And even when I'm home, I'm researching something. So it's very difficult for me to have, personal life, because I need to learn this. I need to catch up with this. I got a new case and I don't know this issue, right? Um, so it's something that as a new attorney, it's very difficult. I think that now that I started working on it, my approach is set boundaries, right? And have a calendar, have a plan. On this day, I'm gonna get this much accomplished, this much done, and uh, keep yourself accountable with that. So you have to keep boundaries as well, and knowing that, okay, after 6 o'clock or 7 o'clock, I'm not gonna answer any more phone calls. If sometimes I'm at 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock talking to my clients, or on the weekends. But it's something that you just have to force yourself to do that. Some of my clients have my cell phone, and not all of them abuse them, right? But I do get the occasional call, like on Sundays at night, especially if and I will answer it if they have somebody detained. I understand their frustration, that they want to know what's going on, or they want to know an update or something. So you have to set boundaries to do that. But yeah, that's definitely one of the things that I'm still working on. Maybe we can come back to this in a few months.
Yes, I'm glad you said that. I think the authenticity of people's journey, and I would love to tell you that I am successful in every area of my life. I had some pizza last night. I confess to everybody, wasn't really part of the perfect diet, but I always respect authenticity, right? Because we're all human. We all have areas that I said, what, if that can be better in my world, and you're talking about being that can be better in your world. And I just love the awareness. Love the awareness. The probably way worse would be to not have a balance, but to think you do. That's always like, okay, but being aware of it gives you that much more power and ability to focus on it. But absolutely. So we got, when you're over here, you're expanding your law firm, you're bringing on attorneys, we got to have you back. You talk about the next steps. And let me ask you that. What's next steps for you? What's next for your attorney journey?
So the next thing in plan now, I'm the only attorney in my office now, but I am getting to the point where I can bring in another attorney to work with me. So I'm so excited. So that's definitely the next plan. I'm scared because I've never hired an attorney, right? And just hiring my own staff, it's scary because it's everything is new to me, right? So that is the next thing in my office. And I definitely want to expand, grow my business. I want to build an empire. One of my friends asked me, what is your plan? And I'm like, I want to build an empire, right? I want to help everybody in Texas or in the United States get legal status in the United States. If I can change somebody's life, I can impact their families. It's just going to be an exponential impact. So I definitely want to help more people. And for that, I need to grow my business and grow my staff as well.
Wow. I like it. I think when I'm hearing that enterprise, the empire, big picture, and it's exciting. And I think business owners who are thinking like that, the entrepreneur mindset you're describing, grasp this concept of eventually I reach my limit as a business owner of the amount of people I can serve, I can help, I can empower. But to bring other people on, like you're describing, another attorney on, now your reach, your vision, your impact is multiplied, and then you bring another, attorney on. And so and as you're thinking about these big picture goals, again, it's inspiring to hear about, but it's great that you're realizing the limitations of the work that you can do by yourself, and you're getting to that point where you're able to bring somebody else on. It's really exciting.
Exactly.
What has been the biggest surprise for you in being an attorney?
I would say winning a case that I thought I was going to lose. And so I do a lot of asylum cases, and those cases are so hard to win. I think the approval rating is like 1 out of 10 cases. So like 1 or 2% is very, very low, right? And so going into my second asylum trial, I was thinking, I'm just gonna give it my all. That's my number one rule. I'm gonna give it my all and just leave it up to God. And I know in my conscience that I did everything I could for my clients. Because if you're doing immigration, you're not doing it because you like to win, especially in this climate right now. there's been a lot of pushback for, immigrant cases and policies. There has been a lot of change in the law that is closing those doors for immigrants to get that benefit. So you're not winning every day, right? But my biggest surprise as of right now has been getting the case approved by the judge, thinking that we were going to lose. I obviously didn't tell my client this, but I prepare him well enough to answer the questions. I prepare my questions. We gave it our 110%, and there was the outcome showed for our work. So I'm so happy. I was surprised that I won the case. Very, very surprised.
Awesome. And break down a little bit for somebody listening in, they never heard of an asylum case. What is that? Tell us a little bit of behind the scenes in what makes up an asylum case.
So somebody that comes from another country that's not the United States, they fear, going back to their country, or if they've experienced persecution in the past, they can come to the United States and ask for asylum, to be let in, live in this country, and eventually obtain legal permanent resident status. And in the United States, we can ask for asylum based on persecution on race, religion, also based on when you're a member of a particular social group. An example of that is, for example, let's say that you had green eyes and everybody in Guatemala with green eyes is persecuted because people believe that you're a witch or you have a curse or something. So there's like a particular reason, characteristic of your person, and that is why you're becoming a target or being persecuted. So there are several reasons why you can ask for asylum. Those cases are very, very hard, and usually those are handled in immigration court, and ultimately the judge is the one who makes that decision as to approved or deny the case.
Yes, got it. Now, thank you for that information, that insight. The line you mentioned of like this, giving it your all and letting God take care of the rest, being okay in good conscience that you did everything you could. I think, anybody listening in, I think as whether it's you're a business owner or whether you're just thinking about your family, doing your best. Of course, I just wrote a marriage book, and sometimes people talk. We talk about that idea. Can you divorce proof a marriage? I don't think you can. Even though I wrote a marriage book to help people to be better in their marriage, but I don't think you can divorce proof. I think you can't control what people do. But back to the point I'm making here, from what Claudia mentioned, was doing your best on your side. And I can't control what my wife does, but I get to determine what I do. I get determine the kind of environment I create at home to just give us the best chance, in our marriage. But I love the concept of just doing your best, knowing you did the best work you could do, and then you let the external conditions take care of themselves.
Exactly. Yes.
All right. To bring us in for a landing, what are your favorite qualities of your favorite people?
My favorite people and the person that I look up to is my dad and my mom. And I'm sure, everybody else can agree with me. But in particular, I will say my dad, because he's a doctor in Mexico, and he had to leave his career, leave everything behind so we can come to the United States and provide a better opportunity for us. So now we came over here, and he went back to school so he can provide a better life for us as well. He's 60 years old, went back to being a plastic surgeon. And his perseverance, he's very goal-minded. He has a vision. So those are my favorite characteristics of my parents that I feel like I've inherited, to the point where what's my next goal? I want to accomplish something else. Also, what I really like about my dad is that he doesn't look at you as just any patient. He treats you like family. So he's very compassionate about the work that he does for his patients. I wouldn't be able to do that kind of work, but I understand how he works with them, or it's a passion, right? It's a passion behind what he does, which translates in also in my legal field. It's a passion that I have, and that's the way I treat my family. I treat my family or my clients like family. I'm sorry, treat my clients like family, because I know that I've been there. That they could be my mom, they could be my aunt, my cousin, my uncle, right? And so, to me, it will be perseverance, compassion work, and have a goal-minded mentality where you have a vision. Those are the characteristics that can set you up for success and for a great life, right? If you work on it.
Yes. Powerful to hear about the family. I think the sacrifice, and I love you talking about you inherited some of those virtues from him, from your parents. And I think about that for parents listening in, and this concept of, I'm going to ask you a question this time. Instead of giving you some teaching, I want to ask you a question, parents. What virtues do you want your children to inherit from you? Or even think about what Claudia said. She thinks about the way her dad treats people, even strangers, strangers that become his clients. He treats them like family. In other words, he treats them with respect. He treats them with dignity. And think about that, just passing that on to your children. Of when they think about you, they think about you as a parent. My parent treats people with respect and dignity, and that's the way I want to treat them too. I think that's an inspiring perspective there, Claudia. Thank you for that perspective. Well, fantastic. Well, number one, Claudia, thank you so much for joining me on the Strong Life Coach podcast.
Thank you, Derek. I love being here today. I love talking to you guys in the audience and sharing, my story. And I hope this will be helpful for somebody. And I'm sure it will. I love it.
Yes, of course it will. No doubt about it. Now, Claudia, for people listening, if they want to find some small way to support you, I mean, is that over on Facebook? Where can they find you, and what's the handle where they can find you?
Yes, so they can find me on Facebook under Galan Law Firm. I also have a personal public Instagram page, and they can find me as clau.galan. And they can, send me a message. If they have any questions, shoot me a message, shoot me a private message. So sorry. And yeah, I can be reached there.
I love it. Okay, so go over to her Instagram, go over to her Facebook, interact with her content. And Facebook lets you give those reviews. So give her that 5-star review on her law page, reminding her of how great she did on the Strong Life Coach podcast. If you're listening in, I just mentioned, it's a Strong Life Coach podcast where we speak life, coach life, write life, and lead life. Of course, go over to Apple Podcasts, give us the 5-star rating, and remember to subscribe. Thank you for tuning in, and we'll connect with you on the next episode.